Okay, so I'm here with Sonia Palleck, the author of Leave the Little Island. Here it is. And I'm super excited to get to ask some question about the book to the author itself. So I'd leave it to you to present it.
In general terms, the first book of this series is Book One, Windsor. It is about a young girl, Athena, and it follows her from the age of 3 to the age of 18. It's set in the 1970s and 1980s. It's very true to the time frame, and it outlines sort of this development of this child in a dysfunctional family where there's alcoholism, where there's some trauma and denial and a lot of suffering. And it's backdropped in a society that also has those things, those elements going on in it as a collective. And I think that it's a journey inward. You sort of see inside this little girl, and you're right with her in this process of figuring out, what is love. That's her overwhelming emotion, is that she wants to be loved, she wants to know love, she wants to feel safe and accepted, which I think is the human experience. And I think that that's the first part of this book, is sort of her coming of age in under these circumstances and in that society.
I read that it's also about you, like it's inspired by you. Is it true?
Yes. Athena is based on my life. And in the beginning, like I say, that one person's truth is another person's fiction. Is I had 4 siblings, and I don't know that any of them would say they had the experience I had. They would say that didn't happen, or it didn't feel like that. It wasn't like this. So each individual person has a truth, and that doesn't necessarily mean that someone else is going to share that belief. And so a lot of what is true and is as we walk in life is what we believe. Kind of in the middle of that first page, I knew that story was about me. I remembered the moment of when I was 3, going to get my father and the cigarette, and this happening to me. And I had a lot of resistance initially to write it because it was so painful, and I had these painful memories in me. So it was very cathartic. As I continued, I just sort of made this decision to sit down every day, to commit to doing this. And I did it every single day for 15 months.
I want to talk about love because I know it's a big topic inside the book. It's a recurrent one, and it's so important to Athena as a little girl. So I wanted to let you talk about a little bit about it.
So the love, the way that it was taught to me, to Athena, is conditioning. It has conditions attached to it. And this is not love. Love is unconditional. To say unconditional love is redundant. Love is unconditional. So it cannot be anything other than that. Love is unconditional acceptance and forgiveness and compassion and kindness, patience, all of those things. And when you're raised with, say, someone who has alcoholism, or even they don't even have to be, but just some trauma, just in ways that the world has worked love, is to say there are conditions on it. We value you more if you are like this. We can see what you are. We judge you by the way you look, what you're wearing, how much money you have, the color of your skin, whether you're a man or a woman, gay, straight, bi, whatever you are. We're gonna see, and we're gonna put a value on you, and we will love you more. And we all know these things. We sort of fly with it, but we're sort of confused by it at the same time. Is to say, we have to make choices and decisions. And for Athena, for this girl growing up, who's very much about why can't we get along, and why can't we love one another and be kind, and is suffering, seeing the suffering going on around her and the way people are mistreating each other, still with that resistance and that hope in her, is still being influenced by the ideas that her parents are giving her. But people want a trigger warning on a book that makes you feel this deeply, because it will make you feel very deeply. And it's frightening, it's terrifying to us. That fear that we held as children is the most terrifying gripping fear. And it's worse than anything. It will make men pick up guns and go to war and kill each other before they will sit with their feelings and sort themselves out. The book is to help people do that without going into their own feelings, sit with hers. I will show you, I will be the most vulnerable person with Athena to show you the truth, because Athena isn't written as a hero per se, but as a human. And I think that that's what speaks to people.
Yeah, the word that I would like connect to it is real, because it's so real. Everything about like Athena's feelings, the pain that goes through her mind and her heart, it's so real. And that's exactly what you said. Like it makes us feel something when we read it. So that's why I think I put the trigger warnings in the review, because I feel like people need to know this before reading it, so they are prepared to cry.
You might feel something. Yes, you might cry. Chances are you will cry. Yeah.
Yeah. Since you said, and we know that there are like 4 books in total, what can we expect from the sequel?
So the second one, I have actually the proof.
Okay.
This is London. And the second one is her journey from 18 to 24 is when she leaves home to go to university and to pursue her education, and her evolving, romantic love interests and who she's with and who's surrounding her, sort of as she goes out into society on her own now. So from there, she's, goes through, and without the spoiler alert, but she does get married. The third book is about her marriage, and the fourth book is about her healing, really, like about her enlightenment and the steps and the pain in the process. I feel like books 1 and 3, I would have to say, where a person is in a situation where they have less choice, say, or might feel as though they have less choice, like as a child or as a spouse, as a mother, like as someone who's in relationships that they sort of feel stuck in, that they have more obligation to others, and that they create more suffering in us as people. And books 2 and 4 are sort of more where there's more freedom. And those are areas then where we feel like there's like more hope and more, propelling forward this person in her choices. Are her choices always the right choices? Probably not. But we see that that's the challenge, of like sorting things in your mind, like what are you choosing when you have these freedoms when you have the chance to become the person you want? How are you basing your decisions, your life decisions on? What facts are you looking at when you're evaluating, is this the next step I want to take in my life? Before you commit again to then being in a relationship that is difficult to come away from, or that you might suffer more with if it's not the right one. So I think book 2 is her as a young adult, and sort of looking at, in her mind, is she becoming the person she thinks she is? Is she lying to herself? Is she pretending a little bit? That's sort of, as I think, like most of the world, especially in that young age range, a lot of acting happens. We act like the person we want to be. We act a certain way to get the attention that we want. We act like, beyond who we feel we are. There's always that feeling of like, I'm pretending, because if anybody really knew who was in there or what I'm really about, they might not want me, or they might not like me. So this is like that young adult sort of insecurity. It's angsty. I'm very much a romantic. So is Athena. Yes, very much about, one love and true love, and that sort of princess style of love, so that she's been indoctrinated into, is there's a prince, so she wants the prince, and that's gonna turn out how it turns out.
So I have one last question about the book itself. I wanted to talk a little bit about the relationship between Athena and her sisters, because it's a huge part of the book, and I think it's important to talk about it. It feels like her sisters act like they do not love her, but they do love her. It's just the way they behave, that it's I don't know, ambiguous, I would say. But I think it's
Yeah,
okay because they're young people, so like they're growing up. But I wanted to hear from you what you were like trying to portray it in the book.
yes. I was trying to portray that like you could be in a family and not be accepted. This is like it there's one assumption that like because you have siblings, they're going to love you. And again, it's sort of this, again, another demonstration of, yes, we love you, but you don't treat me well. Athena is not treated well by her sisters. And, her mother would say, they love you, right? She's not treated well by her father. Her father, well, he loves you. So these are sort of the muddy waters of like how people navigate, like, what do you become to believe love to be? That love and suffering go hand in hand, that you will tolerate a certain amount of like abuse, even at the hands of like a sibling, or their voice, that, and also just that like in a family dynamic that her sisters are, challenge themselves, right? They're facing their own way of dealing with what is happening around them. And we can't know in this book, how does Danitza feel? How does Layla feel? What is she thinking? We don't know because we only know what Athena is thinking. And so we can judge only by their actions, but not by what they are intending. What are their intentions? But we also can fill that in. You see Athena fill that in. And in life, this is to demonstrate, you don't know what someone else is thinking. So everybody has these relationships where they have felt this exchange and then told themselves a story like, this person hates me and they're not good and they don't, and it's really just like, so to awaken as well into other people. Someone in your life may resemble some of these characters. Which one are you? Are you the sister? Are you Athena? Are you the mother? Are you, like, are you her friend? Or are you the, bully on the playground? Are you the dad? Like, who is going to be the one? Or someone who is like this, and maybe someone in your life or someone close to you. I can tell you that both my sisters, I have the two older sisters, and they both when they read my book, and I was, I was concerned when they, even writing it, that when they read it, they might not appreciate, what I was writing, but I wasn't writing for them. And I realized the book is for me. And I realized that I have to say my truth to the world. I have to be able to stand and say my truth without shame, without a filter, without someone saying you're not allowed to say that, you have to pretend that this is okay, that everything's been great. I want to say what I came to say, like, to the world. And my sisters were both very understanding and also said sorry to me, that they both cried when they read the book, and they were triggered a lot by it, and for sure, and but also felt bad reading how, maybe how they had treated me when they were younger affected me, because I'm not really particularly close to those sisters, because of it. Like, we just sort of grew apart. And that too is how these types of circumstances can drive people away from each other.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope the whole world reads these books. I believe in them because I think that it is the new love story. I think the love story that we've been told is one of a princess tale, like where the prince saves the princess. And as women, we've sort of been disempowered in that tale. We have to sit in peril in order to be saved. And this sets up like in a danger. It's like, we should never be there. That isn't loving. Person, any age, could read these books and feel some emotion and connection to what we are, one love. And that is the story. That is love, that it is in us. And when we see it there and we become love, we love everyone. Find your way through this path. Find your way out of where there is fear and separation and darkness to where there is light. And that is, that little light is in here, but it should shine out to the world.